breaking news, Putin taunting Trump tonight. Vladimir Putin dismissing Trump's for calling Russia a, quote, paper tiger. And Putin taking a swipe at Trump's words, saying specifically that Russia is winning against Ukraine and NATO. Here he is.
We've been advancing steadily and resolutely. Are we a paper tiger? Then what is NATO in this case? What is NATO like if we're a paper tiger?
Putin using his words, threatening NATO, saying don't provoke Russia. And he said there, if anyone still has a desire to compete with us in the military sphere, as we say, feel free. Let them try. Russia's countermeasures will not be long in coming. Fred Pleiken is out front. He is on board a NATO spy plane that is on the front lines right now.
A quick takeoff from an airbase in western Germany. We're on a NATO E-3 Sentry surveillance plane on a mission deterring Russian incursions into NATO airspace.
Now, the reason why these flights are so important is that this plane has a massive radar on top, and it can see really far in all directions, about 650 kilometers for higher flying objects, a little less for lower flying objects, but that means that it can see planes and other aircraft coming towards NATO airspace long before they get there.
While Moscow is praising what they say are improved relations between Russian leader Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump, it's also been testing NATO's readiness. NATO jets recently scrambling to shoot down several Russian combat drones that crossed into member state Poland's airspace. And in late September, NATO says Russian MiG-31 fighters flew over Estonia's airspace for 12 minutes, while alliance interceptors were rushed to escort them back out, even though Russia denies its planes ever crossed into NATO territory. This is part of the U.S. and its allies' answer: more surveillance flights, the operation named Eastern Sentry. Captain Jacob Anderson says if Russian jets come close, they'll see them.
Well, at that point, we've probably been watching them for a while, so we're pushing them over to the military tactical data links. So it's not just us that are aware of it, it's the whole theater is aware that this track is approaching the airspace.
If we go back and look at the map, you can see that we're cruising around Eastern Europe right now. This is Kaliningrad, that part of Russia. You have Belarus down here. So the plane is situated here, but can still look very far into territory, even beyond the borders of NATO.
And the E-3 needs to stay in this area for hours, only possible thanks to U.S. Air Force tankers providing gas to extend the mission. Crew members come from various NATO member states, all of them with the same stake in the mission's success, Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Wannen tells me.
It's not one nation, it's all of NATO that's represented on this aircraft right now. So when we are patrolling these borders, they're our borders, right? So it means a lot for us to be here to defend our borders.
And NATO says surveillance, seeing possible threats before they get close, is key to keeping those borders safe.
And Aaron, Russia's ambassador to France has warned that there would be a war between Russia and NATO should NATO ever shoot down a Russian jet. However, the alliance says that it's ready for what it calls a robust response should there be any further aerial incursions. Aaron?
All right, Fred, thank you very much. It's really fascinating to see that and so important. This is actually all happening right now and real preparations being made, right? Things like that, things like Finland having their troops on the border. Out front now, retired Major General Randy Manner. He's back with us. He did serve as the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army. And General, I appreciate your time, and it's good to see you again. So Putin coming out to Trump on these comments about, Trump says Russia's a paper tiger, and Putin trying to mock that in some way. I guess the reality of it comes down to this, right? Those are words, but do you see Putin changing his plans because of anything Trump says or threatens or not?
No, I don't see any change in Putin's position. I regard this as just a continuing dialogue in terms of what I'll call a war of words. It's tit for tat. It's basically our president will say something, Putin will respond. Yes, of course, there are these incursions that are ongoing. That is one technique that Putin will use to poke at NATO. It does not mean that they're moving in any way in a war footing. And to the best of my knowledge, all of the operations in Europe and in Russia relative to the potential situation with NATO are normal. There is nothing else that is going on other than these occasional intrusions.
So does Putin fear Trump, or, think that, maybe he doesn't like him, but he doesn't really know what he'll actually do? I mean, I guess that's what those who, support Trump's handling of this would say. Well, because he switches what he's saying all the time, you don't know where he is, and they are worried about that. Do you see that or not?
No, I don't see that. I believe Putin is a very sophisticated and experienced politician and experienced dictator. He has been in power for a long, long time. And not only, of course, being the head of the KGB, he knows how to get things done and to control the situation in Russia. This is one of those situations where, in my opinion, he wants our president to be our president because he certainly understands him. And this idea of our president doing things to respond to his base, the same thing happens with Putin. He says things that the Russian people, that he wants them to hear as well.
All right, so Putin also spoke about Michael Goss. And Michael Goss is a 21-year-old American who was actually killed in 2024, and he was killed fighting for Russia. He got awarded a Russian medal. So Putin brings him up. I just want to bring up some important context, which is that Goss's mother is a senior CIA official. So Putin brings up this young man who was killed fighting for Russia, they gave a medal to, and here's what Putin said.
I believe that these people, they are the core of the MAGA organization who support the current Trump administration because they fight for the same values as him.
Now, again, he's talking about an American who was killed fighting for Russia and was given a Russian medal. He's referring to that as these people are the core of MAGA who support the current Trump administration because they fight for the same values as Trump. Wow.
It's a little bit frightening. This is all upside down in terms of the relationship between Russia and the United States. We've usually had a fairly good relationship, but it's one of mutual respect and also, quite frankly, of watching each other very carefully, verifying and validating any kind of treaties. Those things are all out the window. I was actually in Russia on many occasions with dealing with the Open Skies Treaty and so on before Trump got rid of those treaties. It's unfortunate that we are in the situation that we are in. However, I believe that it, quite frankly, is, we're going to call it imbalance right now. I don't think there's any concern of your viewers that anybody's going to war anytime soon, and I just hope that it stays that way.
General, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.